Good evening. I'm Mary Graham, Assistant Curator of the Woodbury Poetry Room, and tonight I'm thrilled to welcome you to the first event of our fall 2019 season. We have an exciting few months ahead of us, with many new voices to us and some returning. October alone will bring Joelle McSweeney, Yerwan Noel, Ronaldo V. Wilson, Ann Boyer, and Tongo Eisen-Martin. We are always striving through our programs to bring breadth to the Poetry Room's archive, which we do by inviting poets from across the ever-widening range of aesthetic practice in the genre today, but also to cultivate depth, which is often a subtler thing, overheard in the evolution of a poet's voice over the course of many readings, if not, in fact, over a lifetime. And so it is that tonight we are especially grateful to host Bernadette Mayer, who last visited Harvard, I still can't believe this, nearly 25 years ago, in April 1985. Last week, when I asked, just to be sure I had my facts straight, Bernadette confirmed that was indeed the last time she was here, and joked that she could give the same reading, too, if we liked. While I hope she won't, too many wonderful words have since passed through her pen, and we are all eager to hear them. I do know that if she did, the poems would sound as fierce and fresh now as they did then, a feat that those of us, which I suspect is most of us, those of us who labor at poetry know is no small achievement. In that reading in 1985, which you can listen to in full on the Poetry Room's listening booth, Bernadette reads her sonnet, The Complete Introductory Lectures on Poetry. I won't attempt to paraphrase what happens in those 28 lines, a sort of double sonnet. I'll only say that in it, the poet tells us how she first began to entertain what is sublime, something, it turns out, in this or that might include all, or enough to entertain all of those who already know that in this century of private apartments, though knowledge might be coveted, hardly anything is shared except penurious poetry. As in that century, it seems, so in this one, at least I think poetry's penury is still pretty secure, and that our apartments still feel private, if not even more so. I also know that we are richer for the poems Bernadette Mayer has shared with us and will share with us tonight. To introduce Bernadette and to lead us in conversation after the reading, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to the award-winning author of over 20 books of poetry and prose and longtime friend of the Poetry Room, Fanny Howe.
Hi, thank you, Mary. I just don't want to take up much time at all talking about Bernadette because probably most of you in this room know a great deal already. But I'll just give a kind of quick little summary and then she can read, thank heavens. Bernadette grew up in Brooklyn at the end of World War II and had a Catholic education with her sister, the sculptor Rosemary Mayer. Their father was an electrician, their mother a secretary. They learned the classics, were enamored of Greek and Roman myths, an influence that ran in and out of all their work. Bernadette went to the New School and began teaching poetry workshops at St. Mark's and collaborating with other poets early on. From the perspective of Boston, everything hopeful always happened in New York, which called out to many painters who fled there and into cheap loft spaces on the Lower East Side. Poetry and the visual arts worked collaboratively. Frank O'Hara was the Pied Piper leading them forth. He once said, "The movement was founded by me after lunch with Leroy Jones on August 27th, 1959, a day in which I was in love with someone, not Roy, by the way. I went back to work and wrote a poem for this person. While I was writing it, I was realizing that if I wanted to, I could use the telephone instead of writing the poem. And so personism was born. This word to me still applies to the poets of that time and to Bernadette. Their books were typed onto stapled sheets of mimeoed paper, tough and casual, daily and referential to past literature. There's great depth, though it seems just across the top. Her companions were Alice Notley, Ted Berrigan, Lewis Warsh, Eileen Miles, Anne Waldman, Leanne Brown. But Bernadette led a move towards the language poets because of her own genius. She was probably the first one there and left first. Gertrude Stein, John Cage, Warhol, a new American poetics was forming. Dancers, composers, imposters, filmmakers, actors, painters, singers, playwrights. Sorry. It was during those years, the 70s, that I first met Bernadette living in New Hampshire with her partner in poetry and publishing, Lewis Warsh. They were giving birth to their children one after the other, as had I a few years before. No one had any money or academic ambition. The bed was the center of the household, and food was shared like bottles of wine and books. I somehow remember a bed at the center of everything. But she must have loved those years up there, though she then returned to New York, and hard work, hard days. The books still covered her walls like leaves, and looking back, I see that nature itself was crawling around looking for her, because she went back to the woods as soon as she could. Books are wood, books are leaves. Here now her latest Works and Days, this wonderful new book out. It's plan drawn from Hesiod in 700 BC, his almanac, for she always notes the weather too. At this time in America, the special favor of her work is its democratic spirit, a spirit that is utopian, collaborative, and pacifist. Her publisher's new directions recently, but many more are stepping in now. She has won many awards through the years, has suffered setbacks, but I don't see her complain, for she stands as she began, a great American poet. You have to hand it to the nuns who taught her as a girl. She learned how to spot misbehaving gods in early philosophy. Aristotle being one of her most loathsome targets. At least, however, she still cares what he thought. Thank you. Bernadette.
I'm going to read from here, but where's the sound person?
It's all on you already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot. I'm going to start by reading the end of this book, which I have 1,000 copies of. And what we decided to do, I was going to give a show in Portland, Oregon, and this was part of the show. We were going to give away all the books. So I brought some here if anybody wants to take one. They're free. And I'm going to start by reading the epilogue of Utopia. If I can find it. Oh, here. Here's a Utopia, 1984, which is more a clue than a place or book at which you'll look. You haven't given up on a world, have you? You know traditional utopias are no place, as ours will ever be. We were all the same and remain in any name. Here is some utopian, some and everything. Add all you would to it, what is already there. Together we will put things on paper that have never been there. So add to Utopia and take a free Utopia while you're at the adding. This is called First Show Hotline. Out the somber window that shows hibernating trees, the water pump, the road, nothing falling from the gray sky yet. The room I'm in's too clean. The fire's failed. I'm doing the French fries on top of the stove, but mails failed to come. The turkey had no liver, but it may work to write this poem unless it gets stuck like a car by the creek. The creeks are over the top. Be wary of them, of getting mail from a bank and a flyer from the family dollar store in which everything is more than $1, except sardines. I don't have a bank account, but I saw a rainbow in the woods once when the sun got low enough to shine under the earth's cloud cap. I thought, that's not a bad deal on dish detergent. This is called Oh What? Are you called? What flower would be a serial killer? A flower isn't a spider or a killer, say the tigers, but the lions say a flower can be a spider, but never a killer, though it might kill in a just war. And the locusts contend no war can be just unless gay spiders can fight in it. But all spiders are gay, say the mythological daddy longlegs. I disagree. My name is Hibiscus. I grew up in a commune in Krakatoa. You can all go to hell, I feel. I mean, you can go wherever you want to go, but not here, unless you want to have tea with me and the wolf spiders who keep to themselves. This is called What on This Coast is Beginning to Shine Like a Wine Bottle in the Trash. This is my concern for the day, and something new in the evening, another beautiful Copernican gown, for which I am grateful, Lord. There is a time for everything, like getting high, higher, highest. Here in beautiful Aloneness Forest, the surf remembers another form of revolution. Nothing, but do you want to remember the note tacked on the wall? I am lost. Private property is not a victimless crime. This is called Walking Like a Robin. Take 3 or 4 steps, then stop. Look, smell, taste, touch, and hear. Is there anything to eat? Oh, look, there's some caviar. It must be my birthday. Thanks. I must be very old, like 70. I guess I'm falling apart. I'll just sew myself back together, but will it last? Please take a piece of me back home. Each piece is anti-war, and don't pay your rent. In fact, remember, property is robbery. Give everybody everything. Other birds walk this way too. This is what the Americans paid the Mohegan Indians for some Oh no, what Americans paid the Mohican Indians for some of their land. 300 guilders in Sawan, 8 blankets, 25 ells of duffel, 4 fathoms of strouting, 20 shirts, 6 guns, 50 pounds of powder, 50 bars of lead, 4 caps, 10 kettles, 10 axes, 10 adzes, 2 pounds of vermilion, 20 scissors, 20 looking glasses, 100 fish hooks, 100 awls, 100 nails, 4 rolls of tobacco, 100 pipes, 100 bottles of rum, 1 barrel of beer, 200 knives, 10 coats, 14 kettles. So you could have a party that way. I want to read this poem which has no title, but I think you can figure out what title it might have. 12 polluted lakes, 11 Superfund sites, 10 spent fuel rods, 9 toxic waste dumps, 8 two-headed frogs, 7 diseased tree stumps, 6 indicted politicians, 5 ignited water spigots, 4 lakes on fire, 3 cancer clusters, 2 poison landfills, 1 global warming, and piles of dead birds. So these are some things from the Golden Bough that I think you should be alarmed about. It's called The Hand of Glory, the dried and pickled hand of a man who'd been hanged, used as a candlestick, brings success to thieves. There are all kinds of things like this in the Golden Bough. It's actually kind of scary to read. A woman will dig up the earth from footprints of the man she loves and put it in a flower pot in which she plants the fadeless marigold. This is called Frigidisophobia. Mrs. Fields, oil fields, hay fields, field guide to open field, poetry, field of dreams, cornfields, academic fields, competing fields, alfalfa fields, fear of fields, asparagus fields, green fields, ice fields. Now, these poems have all the letters in the alphabet in them, and they usually don't work if you read them, but I keep trying. So this is what it looks like, and I don't know, we'll give it another try. Dear Miss Universe, it's a double entendre. Your mention of the Citalo scimitar type of tree should make you eat ice cream. What's the name of that flower? What does mine mean? As in, will you be mine? I am a turtle in sandals. Does this mean the end of images, grilled cheeses? Sunday, pretend to be a bridge between Sundays, pretend to be a bridge between days. I've had it. The chef wore a toque on his xylophone-shaped head. Do you have any maple syrup? It was back under the figs. Are you jesting? Asked his helper. Not very, she replied. This meth is making me dizzy, she said, a whirlwind of recipes swirling in the brain of the helper. By the dumpster, a lilting lion's ghost, Jodhpurs, queried, VXZ? His friend, the zebra, answered, just take a vow and pretend I'm your ex. I don't know, what do you think? Yeah. This is a poem about our friend, well, we won't mention his name. It's a male person. It's called The Dressing Gong. Have you ever, some of you may have watched that TV series, what's it called? Downton Abbey. It's called The Dressing Gong because in Downton Abbey they ring a dressing gong right before, like 15 minutes before dinner, so you can get dressed for dinner. From now on, there will be no fun. Nobody can even snicker, much less laugh out loud. Secret underground tapes of laughter will circulate, and if you get caught with a laughter tape, you will pay more than if you had sex. Laughing during sex results in Siberian trees falling on your house, and plus you must live with Trump forever in a casino to create a nuclear summer, fall, winter, springs, no laughing matter. They'll have nothing to eat. Nothing will grow that's edible. Crop sprayers like demons will render all your vegetables poison, and you will become a Republican, determined to destroy the joy of all, and you will become a Republican of the sort that creates explosions, showering gold on corporations like a Kilo Nova, while the other classes can't even eat fruit. You think instead of peas, you can eat pears, but even the tomatoes will be wasted like helicopters looking in vain for marijuana. And don't go to Madagascar, they're having the plague. Dig your caves now and laugh in them pronto. Car whack, symptom of sardines, weather, our friends and acquaintances at funerals, in tenements. It's scintillating to fight and die for our car culture with its breathtaking gas stations and brutalist architecture of Howard McDonald's, and sex isn't illegal as long as you abuse the female. But let's get to the meat of it. This guy has got to go. Chance and Pence and thence, they're both so dense and frumpy. Hence, think how long I will have to spend on death row. Or will I die before they kill me in a mall, school, or church shooting? Or maybe I'll go even crazier and they'll get me a gun so I can shoot you and then me, and together we'll go to the abyss of doom at a fancy hotel in either heaven or hell at $5,000 a night, featuring fake squid rolled in rare artificial flavors, handcrafted raspberries dribbled over fresh ticks, with music by a transgender Trump lookalike and a group of black break dancers performing their greatest hits, Fuck White Supremacy and Whose Side Are You On? Until the dressing gong rings. Yeah. I thought I'd read you some poems from this. This is an early book, but somebody republished it and made it so beautifully that I thought I had to read from it. I had to hold it in my hand, right? So these poems were written when I was about 18 years old, I guess. This one's called Song. Live forever, live forever, live forever. In a pastel portrait, fill the wine and follow on to the judging. Holy is thy name. Fill up on custard pie and hives, and shout, a dead bear will roll. Dream after being caught in the subway. I am riding on a train, walking from car to car, sitting, stretching my neck. I dream that I am tormented. Whatever a girl tells me to experience, I must experience. I walk over a bridge and feel crushed in my stomach. My clothes fly all around me. I myself rise into the hair, tangled in my ragged clothes and doubled over, then backwards. I wrote this book when I was taking these funny classes in Latin. And I thought there was a translation of Horace in here, but I can't find it. But anyway, I'll redo this instead. Just so I can hold up the book, right? This is a translation of Ovid from the Golden Age. At first, the Golden Age was the first to spring up, which, with no avenger protector, by its own will, without law it was established, a good and right thing. Not yet had the pine tree felled, come down from its mountains to visit a foreign land through the clear, flowing waved sea. Not yet were the towns surrounded by deep ditches. There were neither swords nor helmets. Nations passed their leisure time free. I always used to translate by putting all the things that the dictionary said the word meant. If you have the right kind of dictionary, it will say it means this and this and this. And I always thought it was kind of a cop-out, but then again, when you're translating something, it means all those things. So, but then I noticed that Anne Carson does this too. So, anyway, it's an interesting way to translate, I think. This is an old poem called The Tragic Condition of the Statue of Liberty. We have a problem with Statue of Liberty now, but it's different from this problem. This I wrote as a collaboration with Emma Lazarus, who's the person who wrote that poem on the Statue of Liberty. So you have it, you can have that poem. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Give me your gentrificees of the Lower East Side, including all the well-heeled young Europeans who'll take apartments without leases. Give me your landlords, give me your cooperators, give me the guys who sell the food and computers to the public schools in District 1. Give me the IRS, FBI, CIA men who don't take election day off. Give me the certain members of the school board, and give me the district superintendent. Give me all the greedy members of both American and foreign capitalist religious sects. Give me the parents of the punk people. Give me the guy who puts those stickers in the Rice Krispies. Give me the doctor who thinks his time is more valuable than mine and my daughter's and the time of all the other non-doctors in the world. Give me the mayor, his mansion, and the president and his White House. Give me the cops who laugh and sneer at meetings where they demonstrate the new uses of mace and robots instead of the old murder against people who are being evicted. Give me the landlord's sleazy lawyers and the deal-making judges in housing court, and give me the landlord's arsonist. Give me the known and unknown, big important rich guys who bank on our quaint neighborhood. Forgive me, the writers who have already or want to write bestsellers in this country. Together we will go to restore Ellis Island, ravaged for years by wind, weather, and vandals. I was surprised and saddened when I heard that the Statue of Liberty was in such a serious state of disrepair, and I want to help. This is the most generous contribution I can afford. You know, they did fix the Statue of Liberty, but now it's being attacked on another front. I'm going to read you a few more. Oh, this is a great one. We had, I was driving around, some people who both had those devices that kind of tell you where to go. And I knew how to get where I was going, but they were sitting in the back seat and they were arguing with each other about whose device was right. So I said, well, let's follow your device and see where it leads us. So we got to a place, which is not the place we wanted to be, and it said, and that's the title of this poem, "Beware of the killer dog." Today, I'm just like a person with a device. My mind jumps from place to place. I'm doing karaoke. I make the screen go up to another thought. Oops, I don't like this one. Oh, my, let's go down to a more Hallmark moment. I have an app for waterfalls. No, I think I'll go to my sex app. This is called The Theory of Everything. Doing nothing, on the blink, neither here nor there. Do you care? Plastic icicle, real icicles fall. Icicle, does the sun mean that much? Theory of nothing. The road is white, Alice's house is white, snowdrops are white, the snow's not enough to sneeze at, property is robbery, the car's on the blink, I'd like to be under the sea. This is a poem called Waiting for Dave, Megan, and Isa. Isa is their child, or was their child, is their child. And I used to write these poems every time somebody was coming to visit. I would write a waiting for that person poem. And then all of a sudden, where was it? It was published in the New York Times Magazine or some illustrious place. And I thought, wow, I mean, this is a very ordinary poem. Where am I? It's supposed to be hot and sunny, but it's cool and threatening to be changeable. There's a crisis in the banking system of Afghanistan. Some people think the president of Syria is dead. And in Japan, old people will take over the work at the threatened nuclear power plants, so the jeopardizing of their health will matter less in years, I guess. Nobody has figured out what to do with nuclear waste. In Denmark, it's to be buried, and so nobody in future times will unearth it. The whole area will be covered with faux thorns. Now it is overcast. There's an ominous wind blowing. Wait, everything's looking a little bit brighter now. Oh no, it's darkening. This poem is called Prehistorically in Prehistoric Times. You couldn't plan to get pregnant. Nobody yet knew about sperm. Men thought they were apart, and nobody knew you could plant plants. Plants grew wherever they grew. Where did I see that Jack in the Pulpit? People had memory of all the things their tribe had ever done, including the past they hadn't seen yet. There's a group of people whose language say that the future is what you can't see, and what's behind you that you can't see is the past. Whereas in our way of thinking, it's the opposite. So I'm going to end with these two poems. This first one is called The Go Away Welcome Mat of Steve Levine. Never saw dandelions in the field before, marking like on a map where the rivers would be. When the snow melts in the field, it looks like a map too. I can pass for a cognizant human. Mostly everywhere near are planes flying to scrunching locations. Doesn't everybody know everything? When the internet provides us a common memory. So what's different? The personal history of each, like as if when we began and ended, so did the world we see, these dandelions, this gloom. Aren't we exactly? But my heart at not being loved, ending where his line ends. But it won't till I fall like a squirrel down the bird feeder pole to the seeds that for Sarah's mother start flowers. Sunflowers. Maybe our seeds are genetically engineered. Genetically engineering plants is like sterilization. Let the plants reproduce, says my sign. I carry it to all the demonstrations of the past, present, and Amu. This one is called Beware a Great Cloud. I saw the great blue heron twice today. You know how you can startle a covey of quail? There it was, waiting where the GBF, that's the guy who bought the field, cleared a space near the promontory over where the two creeks meet. The heron ate my heart raw, and before I died, I saw two goddesses, Chance and Change, like whirling dervishes. They turned like a roulette wheel. They stopped at East Nassau, 4/11/2012. You will forget everything, said Change. You will forget everything, said Chance. And rolling around in the mud, I thought, zebras' tongues are black, willow trees are not. Thank you so much. So we're gonna have a question?
Apparently,
Okay.
I do, but then they do too, the audience.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I won't hog the time. But what a wonderful reading that was.
Oh,
my
thank you so
God.
much.
Because we're both getting so old, you never know what to expect.
I know, right? Oh, excuse me, I can't give this reading. I have to go.
Yes, exactly. Sorry. But it just brings back such an intense breakthrough time
Yeah,
that we all went through.
yeah, right.
And what's left of it now.
Yeah.
I mean, yours ends pretty much in disaster
Yeah,
with Trump, but the earlier nature poems still have optimism.
they
in them.
do. Yeah.
So I just feel like that in a way, the kind of writing that you're doing, have always done, was leading to the internet in some strange way.
Yeah.
It's so free, it's so
Yeah,
assuming that someone's interested in what you're saying. It's not
Yeah.
just writing a little Mandarin poem and
well,
hoping.
that's sort of how everybody knows everything, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
That is,
Yeah.
already, when you pop out. But I've always wondered how you knew to go to New York and to go into that scene that you entered when you were so young.
Yeah.
You left home, and then you went to the New School
Yeah,
in New York.
Yeah.
Was that, you already knew you just wanted to write poems?
yeah. I'm afraid I knew that really early.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was probably a stupid thing to do. But now I'm too old to do something else.
But was your house full of magical presences, your parents and Rosemary? I mean, did you all have a imaginative life where?
I think Rosemary did,
Yeah.
but I don't know that my parents did. They died very young, and they were kind of, they didn't have any books in their house. So it was kind of a strange environment for Rosemary and I to grow up in.
Yeah.
No. They had no bookshelves. Like, we got all these books from the library, figuring that we could fill the house with books. There was no place to put them.
And then did you, at the school must have been good that you went to?
I went to some, actually the Catholic kind of education that I had was okay. I mean, I felt it was okay because I got to learn Latin and Greek.
Yeah.
But then, when the sex thing comes up, you can't be Catholic anymore. And it's true. And the first thing that happened to me after I learned about sex was that some, asshole priest dangled his erection in my face. And he wanted me to blow him. And he had done the same thing to my friend Grace. So, I mean, we were kind of horrified.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So,
Was that your Grace who stayed with you through the years?
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah, yeah.
And so you stayed best friends as you went along?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still best friends.
That's great.
Yeah.
And does anyone have a quick thought out of this? And we can just keep it,
You just wait for the microphone and I'll come to you.
because I think there's such a huge amount to talk about. But
Yeah.
I don't want to be in charge. Jim?
seem to have many different inspirations when you write, and This book really is amazing. But it seems like your intent is up in many different ways. Do you go to a place, or does that just come naturally?
I really can't hear you.
Oh,
Probably.
it seems like when you write, you're open to many different things, and there's a lot of things that come into the poem.
Yeah.
And do you bring yourself to a place, or is your antenna up all the time, or how do you get to? Because it seems like you have many different inspirations as you write, and you kind of encapsulate a lot of different things. And how do you do that?
Well, somebody said to me, which I didn't realize I was doing, was that in my writing I create a whole little world that is not or any world that exists, and that's his theory. So I thought that was an interesting idea, but
Are you conscious of that when you do it?
no, I wasn't. Yeah, but I have the kind of synesthesia which where you can see every letter is a different color. So maybe that's contributing to the need to create a little world of my own. That I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see the colors in your work. So yeah, but I think it's a rare thing, and it's a hard thing to maintain and master. But it's beautiful when you happen upon it.
Hmm. Huh.
Gabe, did you? No, I thought it. Oh, damn.
I've always been drawn to the anti-landlord aspect of your work.
Oh, you like that? Great.
I used to be a tenant organizer here in Cambridge for a while, but it's a burnout thing, unless you're in the struggle. And how long did you struggle against your landlord? Because it seems to be ever present.
Well, all the time I lived in the Lower East Side, I had to struggle against the landlord because there was a situation like where he was trying to buy all the tenants out so he could turn the whole building, into a co-op. And so he's trying to he was desperate to get all the tenants away, out of that building. And he lived, we all knew that he lived in New City, New York, wherever that is. But I mean, it's sort of a place where all the landlords live, right? I always thought. Anyway, I took him to court. But first, I asked the other people in the building if we could do a class action suit against him. Because he had set the boiler on fire to get people out of the building, people not wanting to live there. I mean, there was rumor that there was a swimming pool in the basement, but nobody was allowed to use it except the people who worked in the building, which I thought was great. And I used to see them in the elevator in their bathing trunks.
Oh,
It's
really the weirdest thing
I would say, "Where are you going?" And they would say, "Oh, nowhere." So I went down and saw, but it was all locked up. The swimming pool, there actually was water in it. I mean,
Heavens.
the building was Agaloff Towers, which is built sort of so that people could get out of the tenements and live in a proper building. So, but now, but when I lived there, it wasn't that anymore.
Just a quick follow. I just remembered someone telling me about the Lower East Side in maybe the 70s, how strong the anti-landlord movement or scene was, like signs nailed to buildings, landlords keep out on your safety
it
is
was
at risk.
amazing.
And were you a part of that? Was that like a...
Yeah.
What was the extent of the organization of that?
What?
Well, were you involved in the meetings and going building to building, organizing, or being part of that?
Well, we tried to get our own building organized. We had a lot of meetings, but people in the Lower East Side, besides what the problems with my building, where they were really gentrifying heavily was on the real old Lower East Side. Like where I lived, it was 4th Street and Avenue A, and it was more like the East Village. which is also being gentrified. So the whole thing was kind of a mess. But we went on a radio station one day, just poets and stuff, and we had to climb through a window to get to because it was an illegal radio station. You know, it's not allowed to broadcast, but just broadcast poetry, right? I love it.
Unlicensed broadcasters of
Yeah.
the world.
But, you know, I did get $15,000 from my landlord, and I really did want to leave. So I sued him, and he had been charging us an illegal rent for years. And so I actually got a check from the landlord for $6,000. That was all the illegal rent that I had paid. So that was interesting.
Well, did you move there after you had the 3 children? From
yeah,
the
oh yeah,
country down?
yeah, yeah.
And so was that because you or Louis got offered a job in New York? Or why did you leave the countryside to go?
Well, I left the country to take, somebody called me up, wanted me to be the person who ran the poetry project.
Ah, okay.
So I came back to do that because I needed the money.
Right.
It's kind of hard to earn money outside of New York for many of us.
It was. And
Yeah,
now you
yeah.
can't even go into New York.
Now you can't even afford to live there. It's interesting, the whole thing that happened with the poets, because a lot of poets used to hang out in that neighborhood, lived in that neighborhood. The rents were really cheap. And now all the poets, they move further and further out every year, and now it's Queens.
Queens, yeah.
I mean, amazing, I think.
Ruth?
Yeah.
Oh, could you talk about Midwinter Day? Are you interested? I love the long poem, and I like this idea of the synesthesia you're talking about. And I like the poem because it puts everything in it. Like, it's the only poem that enshrines the price chopper.
Yeah.
And like Lennox, I love that. So I don't know, maybe you could just talk about, did you write it really in a day, or how that project came into your head and on the page?
Yeah. Well, the project I'm working on now is I'm keeping a winter journal, because nobody can really quite believe that I live in such a cold place and stay there all winter. So I thought that would be interesting for people to read, and for me to write down too. And I've never kept a winter journal before. Usually I keep a spring journal. But Midwinter Day was I got inspired by the Antarctic explorers, who would have big suppers on Midwinter Day, because it was the day that the sun turned around, and, you know, be the beginning of light coming back and into our lives. And yeah, so now it's become, for a lot of people, I think, a replacement for Christmas. So they don't have to
That's right.
celebrate Christmas. You can just have a gala reading of Midwinter Day. It's so great. I love it. I never realized that it would be popular in that particular way.
Did you write it all in one 24-hour period?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did a little rehearsal beforehand, because I wanted to get good at remembering my dreams. So I spent 2 weeks remembering dreams, and I got really good at it. And then I did things like I knew I was going to buy that day's newspaper, so I have a list of all the articles in the newspaper. So
Right,
these are
yeah.
the tricks of epic writing, right? You make a lot of lists. I listed all the women poets who have children. I don't know. It was fun to write. I used to have a tape recorder. I wrote it at this apartment I was living in Lenox, Massachusetts, and it had extensive closets. I used to have a tape recorder in one of the closets so that I could speak into it without the kids, being distracted and, asking me what I was doing and stuff. So it was fun.
Oh, it's just a great, great piece of work.
Yeah.
I have a question. So
Oh.
speaking of tricks for writing epic poems and being a mother, this is a very practical question since I have a 3-year-old and have a hard time finding time and space to write. I was just wondering if you could share a few more ways that you were able to fit writing into your day in a practical way.
Yes, sure. I had a partner. I was living with a partner then, and we made an agreement that he would get up early because he was an early morning person with the kids, and so that I could work at night and stay up as late as I wanted to, and sleep late. So it's just a question of having somebody, a helper. Yeah, I think. Barbara Guest once said to me, I think you're crazy. I would never have a child without a maid.
That's
I'll work on the maid part.
Yeah, right.
Well, yes, Ruth, yeah. I don't see anyone. Oh,
Where?
Hi. I heard an episode of a podcast from The Believer that was about your personal finances.
Yeah.
How did that happen, and what was your experience of them making that?
That really depressing. It was totally depressing to put it into words. And I remember when I was doing that interview, I felt like the woman who was doing it was holding the microphone too close to me. And it was obviously just a reason that, it was just a feeling that I didn't want to talk about it. Because, I used to add up like all the money that would be coming into the household and the expenses. And I never had enough money to live my life. So what was I supposed to do? I would go into a supermarket. Nobody can do this nowadays, and I would I would have $3, and I needed to get like 3 different meals that's crazy. And things cost too much now anyway, but for $3, I could get, like, one thing I would get would be a bag of lentils. So, it's that kind of nonsense going on. So I would just like to say to this relatively large audience that if you ever dream that you can support yourself as a poet, this is not true. But you can try, and then...
but when we were coming up, nobody ever dreamed of an academic career.
Yeah, that's true.
Ever. You and I
Yeah.
never thought,
Yeah.
now I'm going to get a job at
No,
Brown or
we
something.
never did.
Nobody. It didn't occur to you. It was all teachers and writers collaborative, teaching in the schools with children.
Did you work for them too?
Yes, yeah. So we just picked at little things, and
Yeah.
there was no large ambition at all.
Well, except for writing.
Yeah, but I mean, for making
Yeah.
money.
Yeah,
from
that's
writing,
true.
you just
Forgot about money.
didn't- Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's probably a good thing we did.
Well, maybe this is a kind of academic question, so I apologize, but I love your writing exercises and don't usually like writing exercises, and I pass them on to my students if they want me to give them writing
great.
exercises, and they love them because
Wow.
I don't know how you think. I don't know how you think of these things, but they're outside the subject matter of the poem.
Yeah.
and so everybody gets stimulated by them. I don't know how you thought of them, but they're the best.
Well, it
list.
was just, I was doing a workshop at the time at St. Mark's Poetry Project. So they were all the exercises that we did in that class. So it wasn't just me. I mean, it was anybody. Like at one point, we had a rotating teacher thing. And so one guy came in with us an assignment one week. And so we were all writing with paper bags on our heads. I mean, really had to be willing to do these things to get a good list.
Did you have
Idols?
eye holes?
Idols?
Eye holes in the bag?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you feel that category of human, besides the ones who made it as far as queens, is it gone? I mean, how are...
I don't know.
I don't know
Well, there
either.
still is, there are a couple of places in New York City that have reading series. And there's a couple of places now in Brooklyn that have reading series. So, so there is a kind of tradition, I guess. But, you know, hardly the same,
No.
I think. Because, you know, one of the pleasures of that kind of scene that we had was that we could stand on a street corner and make a plan for a magazine, and we could walk to everybody's house to pick up the poems, and then we could walk to another person's house who had a mimeograph machine. So in one night, if we were lucky, we could do a magazine.
Fabulous, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that can happen anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I suppose online people are sending around
Yeah,
all their
right.
work and
Yeah.
gathering.
Yeah,
But that's different. It's definitely a different feeling.
yeah. Do you write on a computer?
No, I do everything by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And then I type it up. But it just is. I was thinking, because I was thinking I'm way too like a dinosaur to teach anymore, but then I realized maybe I could give the students a view of what it was once like
Right.
to be in a workshop with someone who writes all
We
over
should
their
work
wrist.
on that essay, Fanny, together. And we
Yes,
could,
that's a great
it would be our
idea.
act.
That's a great idea. Because they wouldn't be allowed to send things ahead of time.
You're
It
right.
would be just right there, scribble,
Yeah.
scribble. Those
Yeah.
days. So, how to justify
Yeah.
working when you're older. Oh yeah, ask out, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to amplify what you were just talking about, because I think it's a really important lesson for writers to recognize. William Carlos Williams said you can either make dollars or make sense. And
Yeah.
the whole kind of spirit of competition that is so omnipresent in the literary world today can't possibly be good for it.
Huh. Okay. Well, you just reminded me of, I read somewhere that there was one of the earliest books of William Carlos Williams was rejected by Harvard Library. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, think of all the Beckett being rejected by
Yeah,
Boston
right.
publishers. Oh, yes.
Oh, there's a hand.
Hello. Can you talk about the writing exercises you used other than writing with paper bags on your head at a poetry workshop? Because I remember someone had a comment about your writing exercises, and I was just curious
Yeah.
to hear about them.
Could somebody shout that question to me?
The other writing exercises list, is that right?
Yeah.
He just wanted to hear a couple more exercises.
Like
You use.
new ones, you mean?
On the ones that you've used in poetry workshops that you've led.
Well, what we've been doing lately is, in my workshop, is we dug a hole, and then we started making piles. You know, an interesting writing assignment is to create one out of this book, The Anecdoted Topography of Chance, which is a book about you have a meal on a table, and then you get up from the meal, and then you photograph the table, and you write about every object that's left on the table, including like things like the crumbs from the bread. Like each crumb gets circled and written about. So I think that's a great assignment. But did I get your question right?
Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Mary, help.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Not really. There will be some time to gather afterwards. We have some more refreshments. There's a book signing. Harvard Bookstore is here with some books in the back. Please stay and be joyful together. We're so glad everyone made it. Thank you.